said, one of the targets I want to try and achieve from different from last time, I want to try and keep the village a lot smaller and more compact, and not so sprawling. What I also want to do as well, I want to move up the estates. I want to manage the promotion of the villages a lot more than I did. Welcome to another adventure in Arboria with Flash Drasman, and yeah, I think we need to review our goals, because we are neither compact or tight at all, and we are very, very sprawling. A comment in the comments obviously prompted me to go back and have a look at that and go, yeah, we are very sprawling. We are very sprawling. Oh, there's it, the goals and ideals of the first episode in the playthrough, eh? And yeah, the other one, yeah, we're managing the population promotions very well, aren't we? Yeah, so anyway, welcome to another adventure in Arboria as we continue to just carry on playing, really. Let's unpause, because alright, let's have a look. This is gonna, I've made my decision. I think this is gonna be the last episode in Arboria, because at the moment all I'm doing is fighting to get money in, and I just really kind of am at the point now that I'm not getting bored with it, but I'm not exactly kind of, I don't know, I'm just not as thrilled to be in it as I was. We need to remind myself there's something we were looking forward to do in 14 days, and I can laugh, I can't remember what it was. Yeah, it's complete, passed me by, we were going to do something, and what the devil was it? Oh well. Yeah, so like I said, it's, we went to finish something, I can't remember. Oh well. Promotions available, we've got no money so we can't. Yeah, it's, yeah, probably the last is going to be the last one, I think, on this one. Because like I said, it's, I'm not going through the motions, but I'm going through the motions, and I don't, I've always been a one. I'm not a massive fan of seeing streams dragged out forever. And this is only episode 25, but it's still, we've still been going 25 episodes. That's kind of a lot of playthroughs, and we could carry on, we could go, but I fancy a new challenge. I do fancy taking a look at mods. I do fancy the idea of doing that, because there's still no sign of when the new playthroughs come, when the new interface is coming through. I don't want to end it on in the middle of a storm, mind you, but where are we at? How long have we got left on that? 10 days of bad weather. Yeah, so let's have a look. Let's just have a review of where we were. Economically, we've really struggled recently, and I think the obvious one where it's killing us is if you look at the expenses. The church budget is absolutely killing us. I don't think I've utilised. If you look at the church budget, we get rid of the churches. What's costing us? If we go look at the cost of the churches go through, 486 gold coins a week. Go down here, 158. They're not full, but they are. You know, 158. And I've got another one up here. We've got, that's full, and that's cost us 99, and that's full, and that's cost 176. Again, with down here, that is 100, and that is full. Yeah, and maybe I need better placed churches. Maybe building that down here wasn't the most sensible choice. What I should have done when we first started the map off, I should have built it in the middle. Because what I've done, basically, it's area of influence. Everything behind here it's got no influence at all. So what I've ended up having, like one there, and I've got one there, and I've got one here. If I'd have built this thing here, that's another church, and that's got nobody in it, you know. If I'd have put that there and then built a bigger church here, I would have might not necessarily have needed 1, 2, 3 more churches. That's 99. That's 198, and that is 198, 398. Give through about 450 instantly there. We could have possibly saved our 400 gold pieces. We would probably have to make this bigger, but I don't think my places churches have been as good as they should have been. Also, I don't think I've done as well. I don't think I've managed moving industry out of the centre. I think I could have probably kept it more compact if I wanted to, by be more on the ball about moving things out as the village, as the habitation's expanded, moving industry out. But again, saying that, I think the ideal of having a compact village isn't possible with this, because villagers want to live near where they work. So if they don't live near where they work, they're not going to be happy, which is a shame. But yeah, so I kind of, yeah, churches is a big one. I don't think I've really managed that well. I don't think I've kind of thought through properly how to build them, and I don't think I've been quick enough in terms of moving industry out when I should have done. And I've not been really kind of, yeah, I just not managed that very well. And whereas what I should have done was completely deforest this entire area, and then kind of space out my residential area. Then what it would allow me to do would allow me to space out the residential areas and put a light along with farms. What a relief! There we are. Nice. Now we get a nice view of the nice compact village I was hoping to create. So whereas we've got little pockets of pockets popping up everywhere, which means because we've got so, I mean, we are really sprawling. What we've ended up with, we're having to be a lot more on the ball with where our markets are going, and we're very packed down here, but we're not really kind of expanding it anywhere until we're not really. Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is the churches. I'm not managed churches well enough. I should have rather than put that down here, I should have put that in the middle. I should have put that. What I should have done. I should have marked. I should have used a forbidden land to make sure nobody built on it. Mark that out and made that to be my church, and put the church in the middle and everything around it. Then what I should have then done is expanded out. As I expanded out, concentrate where I'm putting my warehouses and everything else. What do you want? I'm not bothered about it. What do you want? 50 wood. No, you can't have it. Go away. That as well. We'll come to that in a minute. I should have also thought about where I was putting my industry alongside where my people were living, to try and kind of keep a separation between the buildings people don't like, but also making sure they've got houses near them. I also think we need to look at my ratios between windmills, for example, windmills and flour. I need to do it more. And the comments have been helpful on that, but I do need to get my head around more of the how many windmills do you need to a farmhouse? The supply chain between, for example, wheat field, wheat farm, mill, bakery, and get that kind of that triangle of resource kind of sort. That's not very well of putting it, but kind of get that triangle of supply chain triangle between things like that correct. It's the same down here as well. This turned into a bit of a, not a mess, but it's not very well organised. It's taken up a lot of space. Where it was in the middle of the woods when I started, it's taken up a lot of space, and I could have organised that better. Maybe putting it in the middle of the woods didn't really help me a little bit, because it made it difficult to see. So again, I also need to get that relationship better. For example, blacksmith, iron smelter, weaponsmith, kind of trying to get this a bit more organised. Again, also work out the relationship between the mining of iron compared to how much iron I need to mine to how many weaponsmiths or blacksmiths and workshops I need. So again, that supply chain between raw material and end product, work that a little bit better as well. Markets, markets again, because I've ended up where I was on the second village, where I've ended up with multiple pockets of urbanisation, you know what I mean. I've ended up having to put out a lot of markets, whereas if I'd have been a bit more I thought a bit more about where I was putting my churches, maybe had a couple of bigger churches, maybe gone here, and here, I maybe have not have needed as many churches, and it would have been easier. Then again, over this one again, also again, I've ended up with the pockets of habitation. What do you want to do? Yeah, and again there's that of where I could have done better. If we, I mean, again, and with what we've ended up now, we've ended up with, also because I stuck with this as being my main supply of wood and of reforestation, I've ended up with is, because I kept this as my central forest, my central wood supply, we've ended up with a situation where I've ended up having industry and habitation on this side of the forest, and now when I come to actually want to chop it down, I've got huge swathes of empty land where nobody's living on it. Which, in hindsight, again, maybe what I should have done was completely cleared this forest to start with, just cut it all down, and as I got the money to buy the new squares, if I got the money to buy the squares, look, for example, we started off something like here. We started off here like that, or was it this? And we started kind of here. What I should have done as I expanded out, clear the wood out, and as I got to kind of here, then put my foresters here to kind of force that to chop it down, and kind of left this for urbanisation. Then we could have spread out. We would have still sprawled out, but maybe sprawled out in a more manageable way. Kind of things that also I should have done better is this situation, where I've ended up with again, we haven't got the money. I've ended up with a lot of newcomers, and on search, I ended up in a situation where we were taking newcomers. I just wasn't promoting them. I was obsessed with getting to my common and getting to my citizens. But what I didn't do was keep on top of promoting my newcomers. I've ended up with a massive concentration of people, which I just visually don't like. But I need to be a lot more on the ball with that. The big one is the money, though. The money's been the one that at one point, I need to go look at my episodes. I was having to spend money. That's why I've got such a massive behemoth of a town hall, of a Lord's Manor rather, because we had to keep increasing it because we were constantly running out of space for money because we were doing so well on the rates, and I just didn't keep. And again, if I'd been promoting more if I'd have put newcomers up, they would have then started using market and probably generated income themselves. Again, placements of buildings. I need, again, visually, it just looks a hodgepodge of farms dotted everywhere. What I should have tried to do, again, hindsight's a wonderful thing, was if I'd have cleared this forest out, if I'd have cleared this area, just chopped it all down, and then I could have then put farmland all the way down here and made this all farmland. And then as industry came, and then as we started mining over here, and I should have then made this my central mining area, expanded out here, put this as my main mining area, and then I would have had I could have gone kind of wheat farms down here, kind of settlement here, wheat farms here. Then on the other side of that, I would have then had industry here near the mines, and then I would now have another settlement of people here between. So they've got the positivity of being near the farmland, and then but also closer to work, and that would have hopefully then avoided the duplication where I've got like multiple markets stuck up everywhere, and I've got this massive bit of space in the middle that's kind of was woodland, but because I didn't get time to chop it down quickly enough, I've ended up with a situation where I've got huge gaps, which really, ideally, that lot, all the stuff I've got down here, should maybe have been in this space here. And then what I should have then done is move these out again, just keep moving them out. And then on the back of that, what I should also concentrate on, what I tend to do, stupidly, but I do it when I'm promoting, I do it from a role-playing background, I do it as if, like, for example, I look at who's arrived. So for me, these people should be promoted first because they've been here longer. The game don't care about that. We've got a lot of unemployed people. So we could deal with that, because at the moment I'm kind of not dealing with them because, again, I'm not coming back here again. So it's kind of, let's get you in there. Let's put a halt on. Let's just put a halt on that for the time being, because I don't want many more people coming in. And so let's just promote you up to soldiers. Just gonna get them off and stop them loitering. Get them all to be soldiers. Again, I just keep it tidy. Let's get you. and just get on top of. I've lost my train of thought now. Let me just deal with this and I'll get my train of thought back again. Yeah, and that maybe would have allowed me to have a bit more of a control. Yeah, if I'd have then kind of expanded out what I should have then, I went into the forestry too quickly. What I should have done was not get into the reforesting as quickly as I did do. Clear this entire area of trees, because we've still got trees everywhere else. Clear this lot of trees and then move out. And what I don't think I've also not been quick enough is to reassign villages from in different. And now obviously the higher the level they are, the better they are at that particular job. But I should have been a lot more willing to move people out into different areas, into different jobs. The other one I need to get a lot more on top of is warehousing. It's one of the things I'm hoping that's going to get fixed in the new UI, because this is why my biggest bugbear is for me against the access. But the biggest weakness for me in this game at the moment is resource management, e.g. being able to click on a warehouse, and I literally want to be able to see. I want on one screen every single resource, every single house I've got, on what resources I've got in one screen. So at the moment I've got to go into here, and I've got to go open up every single. So I want to see at a glance what warehouses I've got and what I'm storing in them. Same with granaries. And then when I go look at industry, for example, if I go to industry, then from what I want from the new UI, if I go into farmland, let's find a farm. They will hide from me. I go into farm. I want to build a farm. Then I want to build. That's a person, not a farm. I then won't be able to have that and then scroll through every single farm I've got, so I can see where they all are. I can see what workers they've got. Because that's what I see from the new UI. Just get a better view of what they've got and where they are. Because it does make. Because I have missed it a lot. I've missed it where I've not got the right thing assigned. For example, we've got iron ores maxed out. So in that we've got iron ore maxed out. So that suggests I'm overproducing and I'm not turning it quickly enough into tools. And it's that kind of. And I need to get that better placement. I need to have, for example, if this is going to become my enhancer. What I should do, let's go to somewhere that actually counts here. If this is going to be my centre of industry, I need to make sure my warehouses are here, so that if I've got my blacksmith and my tool maker, my blacksmith and my iron smelter, my blacksmith and the charcoal making person, which I can't remember what they're called, I should have a warehouse right behind them that handles all that type of stuff, so that all the guys got to do, come from the mine, drop it in the warehouse, and it's right there for them. At the moment they've got to come all the way down here, and it's kind of just not really working. Again, it was expedient at the time because that's what the land I had, but what I should then have done was built more warehouses down here, transferred the goods between the warehouses, if you can even do such a thing. Yeah, empty the warehouses of that particular space, and then move the warehouses over and feed it up here. I've not been on the ball quickly enough for moving buildings and industry. I've never been that bothered about losing peasants because they keep coming, you know. But I needed to be a lot more on the ball with that, and then kind of make those pockets of industry. Again, fishing worked well. We've got a lot of it, but again, fishing leads on to food management, and that leads on to granaries. Again, same with the granaries. I've got them all over the place, and I've not got a clear plan as to who's doing what. It's something I've just gone, I need a granary, throw a granary up. Instantly I can see we've already got, I don't need 3 slots for, clearly I don't need 3 slots for fish. And again, that's another one I want from the UI. Same as the warehousing. I just want to be able to bring up a screen that's going to show me every single granary I've got and what they've got in it. So I can easily go, actually, I need to reorganise my granaries. I need to reorganise how many granaries are working and what's in where. What I also need to try and do is make sure I've got granaries next to the markets, so that if I'm selling, this market is selling cheese, fish and berries, I need to make sure I've got granaries there that stock those things. I need to make sure I've got them in multiple areas. So here, for example, I start doing eventually, but again I've not managed it very well. they're stocking things here, and they're selling cheese. They're selling cheese, but they're not stocking cheese. So I really should have they should be stocking cheese. And then what I also then need to, I'm just set up a military something. I've got people doing nothing. So do we even want to do that? Just let them get warmed up, get trained. But then what I also need to do is have granaries. I should set up granaries that deal with food for selling in our markets, and granaries to deal with the overflow from production. E.g., if we look up here, he's not been used at all. What was it? He's not been used at all. So let's get in there. So we've got which bread and bread, because he's not doing anything. So again, it's something there. I've clearly built that, clearly forgotten about it, and then I've got an unused granary sat there. So what I then need to do is here, for example, he's stocking fish, berries, hops, and milk. What I should have is a separate set of granaries. I have a granaries that only deal with food for selling in markets. We haven't got any money. Go away. Only deal with granaries that only deal with food to sell in markets, and have them situated near markets. And then other granaries that deal with the raw materials, e.g. milk. I have granaries that collect the milk from the farms. And so try and split my granaries to make them a bit more manageable, a bit more sensible. Yeah, and again, so that kind of would probably help. And yeah, but that's what I'm hopefully. That's my biggest bugbear with the users with the current setup at the moment. Excuse me. It's very difficult to keep a track of. The bigger you get, the more sprawling you get. It's very difficult to manage your granaries and manage what you're getting, because I've got stacks of them, and I'm probably not making the best use of them. I'm probably not really kind of maximising the potential of the village, because I've got them spread out everywhere. Because I've got to. Then it comes back to the whole sprawling thing. It comes back to the whole. I've got too many guys spread out, and I have got better. And to be very nice comments come back. I have got better at this, and I have done. And I am now able to see some of the mistakes I've made going back. And there's been some very nice comments about how it's obvious I've got better. So I've got better at this, but I've still got a long way to go, because it's a lot easier for me to see now the mistakes I made. Obviously, kind of putting my church and my Lord's Manor down here, it was a mistake. What I should have done, the first square, I should have basically gone, right, this is going to be the Lord's Manor and my church. We're going to make them nice and big, and they're going to be like smack in the centre to leave expansion room, then expanded out from there. Things we've done well. I think the military side of it, I think we've done very well. I think that I've probably taken on more missions than I should have done, and kind of kept them out there longer than I should have done. But I think we've done. I keep calling everything military. I think the army. I mean, at one point when they were going out, they were the only thing that was keeping us in business, and it was obviously they were the only thing that was keeping us in money. But they were bringing like. That's why we've got such a big honour, because we're bringing back so much money. And that's been a fantastic way to make money, and even to the point that I didn't push missions long enough. I didn't push missions enough. We've ended up with a nice big Romanesque Roman church, you know. And I've done that. We've done that very well. Again, going back to things we haven't done well. But I still come back to things I've done, and I've made a lot of mistakes. Planning, future proofing. I knew at some point we would have the access to stone bridges, but I've left absolutely zero space here to build a stone bridge to replace the wooden bridges to make it look nicer. Now, what I could do, I could just build it here and then just knock that down. But again, I've not really thought it through. What I should have done was, when I built this, leave space next to it so I could replace it with a stone bridge when they came available, and then knock that down. And I've not really and I didn't plan that well enough. But so I'll keep the right to myself. Things we've done well, as I was saying. That is, I'm so happy with it. I think this, of all the buildings I've done, this is the one I like the most. The Monastery Island, Holy Island. It's like Lindisfarne, and there's a Lindisfarne in the UK is raided by the Vikings. That's what it's most famous for. But it's on a tiny island. It's an entirely island off the northeast coast of England. and you can only get to it. It's got no bridge. It's got a causeway across the channel, across the North Sea, and you can only drive over at certain points. You drive over, it's an old monastery, and there's a small settlement there with a village with inhabitants in that village, and it's beautiful. And I think that's what I was thinking. This is what I wanted to achieve. That kind of island. There's no settlement on there. Maybe I should have put people on here, cleared these trees out. But this is what I like, because this is what I wanted to do. I wanted to achieve so I could build a nice monastery. I love how. I just think that's kind of like, you got the cloisters, you got entrance to the cloisters, then you got all the buildings around it, and there's nothing else here. There's a couple of warehouses, granaries for the produce from here, and there's a couple of houses on here as well. But this is what I like the most. Again, look at that. Look at all the stuff they're coming back with, and that's probably the nicest thing. That's probably the nicest thing I've done. I think that's my highlight of this. The highlight of this playthrough so far was building this. Obviously, I didn't line that up very well, but we'll ignore that, shall we? We'll gloss over that one. We'll just gloss over that one. I like that. Again, in hindsight, this was one I made. This is, again, now I built it, I love it, but to get to that point, it took so long. Because what I should have thought, I didn't future-proof myself. I didn't think about. Obviously, it should have been on here, but with that great big thing behind it, there was no way I would be able to put it on there. I'm not going to bother with fish. Yeah, we'll see. Can we do it? Nope, that's the wrong screen. Yep, we can. Off you go. I need to get back with them because I didn't need to do any of these. I needed to renew the trade bonuses every time, so I need to keep on top of that. Yeah, so so in hindsight, if I hadn't built that thing behind here, and this would have been the biggest building in the area, and I could have built it here. So I suppose it's a bit more planning going forward, a bit more thought about kind of future-proofing it, trying to think ahead rather than thinking two hexagons ahead. I need to think 4 or 5 ahead. I need to think at some point, I start here, but at some point I'm going to go up here, I'm going to go up there, and so actually, if I'm going to be going up there, I actually think to myself, this is where my church is going to be, and I'm going to have that grand one. I'm going to have what's it called? I'm going to have the majestic stained glass window. I'm going to have that. Therefore, I need to make sure my church is the biggest building in the area, so I can stick it right in the middle. Because it took us too long to get to the point of getting that up there. It took far too long, and for me, it's wasted up there. Visually, it's wasted all the way up there. You know, there's no bugger up there, and it's wasted. And it needs to be in the centre of the village. So I need to think about future-proofing myself. Think a lot more ahead of, rather than thinking when I built this, I was thinking about what's going to be here and here. When in actual fact, I should have been thinking about what it's going to be like when I've got all of this and all of these squares. I don't want to sound like I'm beating myself up too much, but it's just kind of on. I just kind of honest with myself as to how we've got on. And we've got this at the moment, and this is because we've got. If we look again, going back to the budget, if we look at what we've got, we look at the expenses there. Church is the biggest one. Church. This is why I wish you could get some on a table. I can only get it going like that. I want this on my screen all the time. So if I look down there, the church is by far the biggest expense. And markets again. Church and markets, because I've got church and markets are my biggest expense. My Lord's Manor is expensive because I've had to build it so big. Because at one point I was bringing that too much money. So if I just get a grip of how where I built my building placement, if I get a better grip of my building placement, then I won't need to have that many duplicate buildings everywhere, and I'll be able to save money by not having to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different market hubs, 6 market hubs, and multiple churches. So again, building placement, because I've got this kind of everything's crammed here, then I've got all this space here, because again this was all woodland, and I left it as woodland when I should have cleared it. And if I'd have cleared it, I would have been able to put my church here, and then hopefully it would have been able to suck in all these people, and I would have needed like 1, 2, 3 churches in the same area. The economy. The economy has been another one that I need to get to grips with a lot quicker. I need to get a better handle on, like I said earlier, the supply chain. I need to get a better grip on the supply chain so that I know that if I've got one iron mine, I need one ore smelter, and I need one ore smelter, one charcoal burner, and 2 tool makers, for example. And then plan where I'm going to put them. So if I find a mine down here, for example, I know I'm going to produce an iron deposit. So if iron deposit, I now know I need to build an iron smelter. So if I decide, right, my iron mine's going to be there, therefore I'm going to have I'm going to have an iron smelter, a tool maker, and a charcoal burner. I'm going to put them here, and they're going to service that. This is going to be their warehouse, and this is where the people who work there are going to live. And maybe what I shouldn't try to, because I've kind of split myself between over there and over here. What maybe I should have done was got all out over here, focus everything on over here, before then spreading that, before then thinking about, well, I've got what down here, let's have a look up there now. Yeah, but like I said, I've enjoyed this, and I'm happy with the way it's turned out. I think the end game has been a lot harder, but I think I've made it harder for myself because of the mistakes I've made in terms of how I've played towards the end of the game. I need to go back and look at it, because at one point it suddenly went like through the floor. The economy dropped like a stone. So I need to, and I think maybe it's tied to me just not. We went through one. I just wasn't producing enough food. I just wasn't. Look at us now. We're basically drowning in berries. In terms of we're producing more than enough what we need. So so I'm happy. So we're producing food-wise. We're producing more than we need. I just think I've hindered myself by not get some money out quickly enough, and not gone actually, because when we knocked this down and rebuilt it, what I should have done was I should have moved the entire thing into the middle of the map. I shouldn't have rebuilt it here. I should have moved it over here, cleared the space, and built it there. Again, things like that. I built that, it looks great, but I built it because I didn't really plan it. Yeah, so I think, where does that leave us for the next episode? Obviously, between now and next Tuesday, I might change my mind. I might do another vanilla. I might do another vanilla playthrough. But there are some interesting mods. So what's the aim for next season? I'm not going to make any grand plans for keeping it compact and that kind of stuff. But what I'm going to try and do is be a bit more on the ball with how I play, trying to future-proof a bit more, and not thinking 2 or 3 tiles down the line. If we think an episode an hour, not thinking 3 or 4 hours down the line, thinking 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 hours into the playthrough when I am bigger and I have got a bigger population. I am starting to get commoners, and start kind of spreading it out. Maybe being spread out a bit more will help, because it'll help me to put the management buildings, things like the churches in the middle, the markets in the middle. So try and create it so that I don't need to duplicate my buildings so much, because I've got this was from my original market, then I've got this one, I've got this one. Maybe if I had a central point here with church, markets, Lord's Manor here, I would have been able to have more markets dotted around the area and not being so spread out. Maybe had one food market there, one there, each selling different things, and that maybe would help the central thing. You always are going to get sprawl. I think you are. It's unavoidable, particularly on a map when you've got your resources so far away from the centre of your town. And you are going to get pockets of resource here, but then that's when promotions come in, because I kind of hinted on that earlier on. Like I said to you earlier, I play from as if I am the lord of this manor, and I want to reward people who've been living here longest, which maybe isn't a sensible thing. Maybe that I need to bite the bullet and go, just look at who I'm promoting up. So, for example, if I've got somebody living here that's living there, it's level 1, and they're a serf, and they're ready to go a commoner, or a citizen if it is a commoner, or they're working there. Maybe not promote them up if there's no space for them to live, because they're just going to get annoyed. So what maybe to think about is where people are working, where people work, related to do I want to promote them or not, and think about, well, if I promote them, what demands am I going to put on myself in terms of, like, They live there. They now need to have space to build a nice big house. They've got to be close to a market. They've got to this, got that. And maybe because rather than just sorting it by who's been in the longest, sort about actually where they're working and actually, do I want to leave? Do I want to leave them as a serf because it suits me, because it's not going to put a strain on where I am? For example, if somebody was up here, was ready to be a commoner, and I promoted up from there, I'd hamstring myself, because I'd have to build a second market, or I'd have to build a second market to build luxuries or clothes and stuff. And therefore then that would also help me with the number of markets I need. If, for example, I've as a matter of course, I've stuck at one of everything. I've gone, I need food, I need clothes, and I need luxury. When in hindsight, maybe if I thought a bit more about who I was promoting and where they actually lived, then it would make it easier for me to manage what the number of markets I needed, the number of resources I needed. So again, I need a bit more, rather than the blind, let's just promote everybody. Let's promote everybody by years of service. Doesn't help me really. So again, I need a bit more thought into that. And maybe I need to play it at a slower pace. I've got it on max pace 3 at the moment. So maybe to slow it down a little bit and start particularly on promotion time and just sort of think about exactly who I'm promoting. But also one thing I do want to get a grip of, just from a visual effect, I hate this. I really don't like this at all. I don't like the game just having lots of people, but for me, I've said it before, but they should be living in shacks. They should be not a visual stain on the picture, but it should be obvious you've got newcomers that aren't in a home somewhere, just because it might add to the gameplay a bit more, and it forces you to deal with them. Yeah, I'm not bothered really. Kind of like, probably going to be a lot shorter than normal, just because I have reached a point that I want to try something new. But so this is going to be the last episode in Arboria. I think to summarise everything I've just waffled on about, I don't think you can keep a village compact if you want it to grow, but I think the key thing I need to get a grip of is building placement. This is massive, but it's only servicing these people here. I think about building placement. I need to think about when I use buildings, e.g. forests, how quickly I use them, and I need to think a lot further than I do. I need to future-proof myself. I wanted to build that. Then the only place I could put it, what I need to be built more brutal. What I should have done was I'm gonna knock this down, because I could have knocked this down, because I'd have knocked this down and rebuilt the stone bridge there, and then that would have kind of hamstrung me, because they wouldn't be able to get across the bridge. So I just need to future-proof myself a bit more. I need to kind of future-proof myself a bit more. I also need to think ahead to things like the Grand Masters up there. When that took us far too long to open up. That 4th trade route is just, look at that. I mean, the 4th trade route, gems, 10 gold coins for gems, and you'd use gems and then gems start again. And they buy gold, but they buy gold for 10 gold. Words fail me. Gold bars. They buy 10 gold bars. A gold bar for 10 gold. Let's start that again, shall we? 1 gold bar for 10 gold coins. However, those two turn that, and they buy jewelry for 130. I mean, I'm entire. As soon as we open that up, if I'd have future-proofed myself, that would have been here. That would have been the biggest building area, because I wouldn't have bought that over there. I would have made sure this was bigger than that, and then I would have then put that here. That we would have had that out turns earlier, and I would have probably not hamstrung our economy so much, because we would have had that 4th trade route. Yeah. So anyway, like I said, it's probably the biggest and nicest map I've built. It kind of, disappointingly for me, it kind of went down a little bit in the last few turns when the economy started snowballing. But we've covered that enough as to why I think that happened in terms of I've built building placement. I think the two biggest lessons I've got from this is building placement and forward planning. The two things I felt from all this is forward planning and the building placement is the two things that I need to concentrate a lot more on, as well as keeping promoting people, because now I've got myself in a situation is that I'm having to do mass promotions, because I need to get a better grip, also to get a better grip of shifting newcomers to serfs, because Newcomers buy more things. Newcomers will buy stuff from a market, and then you can start making money from your own people. You can start making money from your villages because they're spending money in your markets. Therefore, they'll generate you an income. And then the only other thing from that is getting a better. But again, it fits into building placement. It's making sure that I split my granaries between granaries that sell food for the markets and granaries that hold the raw materials to make their food. So split the two up, and then make sure that they're placed where they need to be. So, e.g., the granaries that sell foods for the markets are near the markets, and the granaries that hold the raw materials are near the raw materials, are near the producers of said raw materials. It's the same with the warehouses. Make sure I've got warehouses. So rather than create a warehouse district, which is miles away from where they need to be, is actually make sure the warehouses are near the producers of the raw materials, and then make sure those raw material producers are together. So almost forming a self-contained unit of raw material, and then producers, and then warehouse. And so they're all kind of together. So they're all close together. And then in terms of planning layouts, think to myself, well, obviously, in hindsight, we started here. We knew that kind of I was going to go over that way, which in hindsight was probably. It's obvious it didn't happen because we didn't go that way. We did go that way eventually, but we've gone a lot more this way. So what I should have done was plan my layout as to right. I'm probably going to have town here. They're going to have farms here. Then they're going to have raw materials here, and the industry for them raw materials here, and then probably settlements kind of here somewhere to support that. And then clear all this of woodland here, and then put foresters kind of here to populate this woodland area. Because there's plenty of wood for us. We could have probably, I would have probably needed to create some kind of woodland here, but I was so stuck on I need to keep it compact. I've ended up having to keep it small because I've built on the other side of the woodland. When in actual fact, my farmlands up here should have been all farmland here, and then the industry would have been behind here because we didn't get this industry till we got that, and I should have put this closer to that, and obviously then I would have had a second smaller settlement to support that, but then that would have been buttressed between the farmland, you know. Anyway, let's have just one little peruse. This again, you'll see why I don't do this very much. I'm not very good. Let's just slow it down so everyone's not running around. Let's just go to speed 1. We've come a long way. This has been a lovely playthrough. I've enjoyed this playthrough. I think Foundation is a wonderful game. For the reasons that I've said in this video and multiple others before, I am really looking forward to the UI interface, the new interface, because I think that'll go get stab a bit harder. I think that I'm looking forward to seeing what it's going to be like, because it needs it's great. It needs improving, but if you look at something like my End Zone Worlds Apart playthrough, the UI on that is fantastic. There's a lot of detail in there, but it's easy to use. Don't go, this interface is great. I love it. I've always liked this interface. I've always liked how simple it is. Yet there's parts of it need to be better. They need to be easier to do certain things like resource management. It needs to be. I think this is fantastic. This is great. I love this. Fantastic. It just needs to be coupled with a better way to quickly see all your wheat farms where they all are. You know. We're going up to the second church. Another thing on top of there. Again, farmland with kind of industry. I need to get better grits with my cows and my sheep as well. Again, that ratio between the number of cows you need and the number of cheesemakers you need for each cow farm you've got, cattle ranch, whatever you want to call it. Now our bridge, which is I've just noticed is blocked by trees. Let's go over to there, just because I wanted to see what it looked like. Again, that should be down there in the main village, but again, lessons learned. And this is what I should have done. I didn't do this too late. I moved. What I should have done was when I was on about managing, promoting of people. This is what I mean. what I should have, my original lumber camp workers would have been down here. What I should have was made sure I never promoted them up. Always left them as serfs, and then when I moved them, or as even newcomers, when I moved them up here, they wouldn't moan too much about not being near luxuries or clothes, because they wouldn't have been in their dusty demands. So when I talk about moving people, I need to think about actually, I had a farm down here. I should make sure I'm never going to promote up farm workers or anything more than serfs, because there's a chance that farm's going to get moved and they're going to move with it. And the same lump camp people, there's a chance that lump camp will move. Therefore, I can't promote people up in that, because if I move that lump camp from down here in like the early days of the town to all the way up here, then if I move from here, they're going to go, well, I want clothes, I want luxuries, and I'm not really there. I'm not happy. I'm going to leave. And that's what I mean about managing. Oh, there's somebody's gone in there. That's when I thought, there's people going to tell I'm in church. Oh, cool. That's one of the monks. It's a long way to walk. Anyway, digress. Kind of then it makes it easy to manage your population happiness if you've got your industries you're going to move are low status. Therefore, they haven't got an awful lot of demands. Therefore, don't mind if you move them. You know what I mean? But anyway, I am going to go. We're going to span over here. Have a quick look over here, because again, more farmland. You could if you wanted to. You could carry on playing this game forever, because look how much we've got. More berries. We've got this thing as well. This thing I don't get. They want this grand masterpiece, lush god masterpiece. But why does it have to be built so far away? It's just some land. I don't get. This is the thing I didn't get. I didn't get why this had to be built so far. I know it's a feature of the game, but for me, I understood the mechanic, but why build it so far away? When like you build it, that no bugger can see it because it's so far away. It's like, what if you live in a village, you're going to build some lovely lush garden, and then you're going to build in the rear end of nowhere, then no bugger can see it. I don't get that. I don't understand why you had to build it so far away, and we actually had to spend money to get up here. To build it, you look there. I had to build one. When I did it, we were kind of where I had to build like 1, 2. I had to build like it cost about 1,500 gold coins to buy territory to go all the way here to build it. And it just doesn't make sense to me as to why that's going to be so far away. I just don't understand the game thinking behind it having that. I mean, to get the benefit, it forces you to spend money. I get because it forces you to spend money to get out far enough to build it. But then, why build something for your village for them to enjoy when they're going to walk about 5 hours to get to it? But anyway, again, more examples of my uncontrolled kind of sprawl happening here. This is everything. This is a classic too much sprawl here. Move along here, more into over here. Also builders, but I need to be a lot more up to speed. Again, not promoting builders, because again, I want to move my builders around. So I've got builders over here that really I should have knocked them down and moved them, because they don't need to be there because I've got no building there anymore. And again, some like builders workshop. I should have knocked those down and moved them further. I moved them out of the village. That comes back down to with managing your workforce and managing promotions, so that you are only moving people. You're not promoting people you know you're going to move, like lumber camps, farms, early game farms, early game builders workshops. But anyway, this is Arborea. Well, let's go look at the fort. I never get that name. Again, that worked. Again, little fort. Built it up. I built it a bit further out. I should have been a lot more up to speed with building the dorm, so I didn't have so many soul houses. But these are all fishermen's houses. Again, it's worked. That worked, even though it was kind of that came out of me forgetting to take off the residential zone off that, but it kind of fits in. I like that. Again, maybe I should have worked on that a lot sooner, and then made it a little bit closer, and then stop the sprawl. You are going to get sprawl in this game, but there's ways to manage the sprawl. But anyway, over to this monstrosity. This is just this massive great thing. Again, I need to kind of, obviously you need it this big to manage give yourself a bigger treasury. But I need to look at better ways to actually build this so it's not so massive. Because when it first started, it was literally this building, and I thought it looked great. But then as I keep adding buildings on, it's become this whole kind of folly. Whereas this is nice and compact. And listen, I also like this. This is my after the monastery. This is my second favourite because it just for me it looks like a church. It looks like a proper church, and it looks like it should look like. And it fits when you got and when you look over, you can see the monastery over in the distance, and it just fits in. Whereas this, when I first built it, it kind of did fit in, but this has got bigger and bigger and bigger. And I've got a church over there for no other reason. I don't know why I put that there. Anyway, yes, this is Arboria, and I have enjoyed this, but it is time to move on. I think we're losing them. Let's speed it up a bit. Again, we're in the perennial trading, but again, you look at that, it's a prime example. The cost of running the village, it's down, and again, it's down to poor layout. It's down to the churches. Pretty much, how much money we've invested in our churches is what's hurting, is what's crippling the village. You know, that's what's crippling us financially. But like I said, I hope you enjoyed that. I hope this doesn't feel like this episode's been me having a whinge about how badly I've done, because it's not that. I don't want it to come across as that, but it's about reviewing mistakes you've made, and when we come on to the next playthrough, it's learning from those mistakes and going, actually, right, I need to think a lot further ahead. I need to think a lot further ahead about how I'm building, and then when we come to do it, hopefully it'll go better, because you get a better playthrough, I get more enjoyment of the game, because food-wise, we did not, with that was said multiples, I didn't get on top of that quickly enough, hence why I think the game kept giving us lots of storms, because it meant fishing, and it meant that we kept fishing. And on that point, I didn't keep a track, because I've got too many markets. I didn't keep track of who was selling what. So what I should have been doing was like, I've got lots of berries. Let's make sure everybody's selling berries, and we haven't got them birds. So what I also need to get on top of, and that comes down to having a better layout and a better building planning, is you end up with an easier, more manageable. You get a more manageable set of markets. You haven't that many to look at. But anyway, like I said, that's not what I wanted to do. I don't go over there. Yeah. I don't go away, monk. So anyway, this is Arboria. I keep thinking I want to talk about it, but like I said, building placement, promotions, building placement where you so lessons learned in summary, because I keep saying this summary, I keep going on. Building placement and future proofing your building placement. Moving buildings when you need to move them, and then promoting who you need to promote, and promoting the right people, so you can move buildings without crippling yourself. Anyway, I'm gonna leave it here. Hope you've enjoyed Arboria. I'm trying to think of a nice place to finish on. A nice little freeze frame, a nice little freeze frame. If we look over the top of. Look at the top of the Lord's Manor, not from the back of it. Look at the top of the Lord's Manor, and then you can see you get a view of the back of the church. Yeah, look from the chimney of the Lord's Manor. There we go. You get a nice view of the monastery in the distance, because that again, I think that's beautiful. That is one sidetracking myself. That looks, because the buildings up here, you've got windows. I don't like this. You don't get any buildings up. If you make the buildings tall, you get no windows in the top of the buildings, and that just doesn't look right. Again, it just visually looks a bit rubbish, really. And again, another thing I'd like to see is if you make a building bigger, it should, to a degree, create you floors so you can visually see floor 1, floor 2, floor 3. And I would like the visuals to be improved, so that if you make a tall building, it looks like it's got windows. At the moment, visually it just makes it look better. Well, it's been bugging me for all that, actually, that if you make tall, as long as you don't make them ridiculous, it should give you a sense of the floors in the building. Whereas at this moment you get one set of windows and nothing above it, and it doesn't really encourage you to kind of make tall buildings, because they look a bit naff. But anyway, I digress. Let's finish it here. Right, okay. Let's go auto save again. Every time auto comes, it freezes my system. But I am changing my CPU out at some point. I've just got a Horizon. It's sat on my desk at the moment. I've got a Horizon 5 5600X, which is sat on my desk on top of my computer. So at some point this week I need to flash my BIOS, which is always a fun thing to do, and stick that in. Hopefully then we might see an improvement in the visual quality as well. But anyway, that's a complete side point, not really relevant to what we're talking about right now. But anyway, I'm sorry to myself. Right, hope you enjoyed that. Considering I said about 20 minutes ago this is going to be a short episode, it's actually going to be probably longer than normal. Hey ho. Anyway, hope you enjoyed that. As ever, thanks for watching. The comments have been great. Like and subscribe to the channel, because it helps me out loads. And I hope you've enjoyed this, you know. And hopefully I'll see you next week when we'll be starting a new playthrough. What it's going to be, where it's going to be, and whether it's vanilla or mod, I've not decided yet. But I'll probably decide that about 5 minutes before I record it, because what normally happens. Anyway, thanks very much, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you. Bye.